Well, better late than never, I guess. Winter is finally here, and this storm is what forecasters were saying could be the biggest in 4 years.
The weekend, this is a major storm, and we're going to be measuring this in feet of snow. Blizzard warnings are in effect for this area through Sunday morning. These are damaging winds that we are going to see all weekend long, which means power outages are really going to be a major concern.
And you know, while on the note of power outages, for my friends that live in cities and are on city water, one thing that you might not realize when you live out in a rural area like we do, when we lose power, not only do we not have lights or our heater, we also lose water, which can be a royal pain. But thankfully, my friends over at Anker have a solution for this. We're gonna be installing their whole home battery backup system that should have all the features that when our overhead power lines, because everything out here is overhead, get hit by wind or snow and we lose power, hopefully we can still use everything in the house. All right, this is the new Anker SOLIX F3800. It's Anker's biggest and baddest portable power station, but it can also be used to power your entire house. But before we get into figuring out how to make this power my whole house, I first want to give you guys a rundown of the SOLIX F3800 and all its features. The F3800 has 3,840 watt hours of lithium batteries built into it, as well as a 6,000 watt inverter. And with the inverter, you're gonna have the ability to power all 6 of these 120 volt AC plugs, as well as both of the 2 NEMA 240 volt plugs. That's right, this thing does output 240 volt. It's also got 2 USB-A's, 3 USB-C's, a carport, and then on the far side, you're gonna see all the input ports, which is basically the home power panel connect, a standard AC input port, 2 different ports for plugging in portable solar panels. Up to 2,400 watts of solar can be put into this. It's got its own built-in MPPT solar charge controller. And then it also has a plug for adding expansion batteries for when you want to add more batteries to the SOLIX. So on its own, this thing is an absolute powerhouse of a unit. You can honestly run pretty much anything off of it because it's got the 240 volt plugs. You can power your RV off of it. You can run welders off of it. So this thing works pretty well as a portable power station. But the big thing that they've added with this unit is the ability to plug into your house and have a whole home power backup system, which is what we need to get into now. Now, before we get into installing the SOLIX home power panel as well as the F3800 to power our whole house, I want to take a quick second to just explain the complexity of the infrastructure that we have out here on our property, because it adds some unique challenges that make the benefits of the F3800 even bigger for us, but the install much harder. So I hope you guys don't mind me taking a quick second to nerd out on our infrastructure, but let me give you just the base level rundown. First off, for power, we're running on a 400 amp service out here. It was an underground draw that we pulled from the power lines on the south edge of our property over to a metered pedestal. And from that panel on the metered pedestal, we pulled 200 amp over to the hangar and 200 amp up to the garage. Now from the garage, we also pulled another 125 amp service into the laundry room in the house to run a sub panel in there, so we didn't have to home run all our wire out to the far side of our detached garage. So basically our power setup includes 4 different main panels, all with their own breakers and different circuits on them. Now water, that's a whole different beast. And for those of you that didn't follow along on my early build videos of the house, we basically drilled a well up here near the house that did not hit water. We had to abandon that and go to the bottom of our property, drilled again, we hit water down there, but it added a new issue that now our well is over 1,500 feet from our house and over 150 feet in elevation lower. And to anyone that is familiar with friction loss as well as resistance in wires, they know that that long of a run adds some unique challenges. I don't want to get too deep into it, but basically what we ended up doing was running a transformer up here at the main power panel to buck the voltage up to 480 volt, took that down to the well where we brought it back to 240. That allowed us to power the well pump off of smaller wire, so I didn't completely break the bank on some big expensive wire. And then what we have that pump do is pump up to a holding tank or a cistern that's 3,000 gallons that sits right next to our house. Now inside of that holding tank, there's a little float that tells the pump when to turn on and off. When the tank's full, it just turns off. That gravity feeds into our house to a boost pump that we keep in our crawl space. The boost pump is a constant pressure or variable speed pump that runs at whatever the demands are of our house. So we run a very small pressure tank, unlike most traditional well setups. It's nice because it doesn't take up a bunch of room in our house because we didn't really plan in a utility closet, but the downside is when the power goes out, we have nothing for water. There's no residual backup stored in some sort of pressure tank like many other well setups would be. Like a lot of people out here with a standard well setup are gonna be able to flush their toilets a few times or run the sink for a little bit before they completely run out of water. For us, that's not the case. Power goes out, we have zero water. And you know, water, aside from just being a convenient, nice thing to have for cooking and cleaning and all that, it's also a safety thing because there's really 2 times of the year that we're worried about power outages. The first being like big snow blizzards, but the second is during fire season in the summer. A lot of times with high wind events, the power companies will prematurely or just proactively turn off the power so that they don't cause any fires. And if there is a wildfire coupled with wind, it's coming in super fast. We can be left high and dry with no running hose bibs. So after that long-winded explanation of our infrastructure out here, it's time that we get to installing the home power panel so that we can get the F3800 set up to provide backup power to our house. All right, we got her. That was a workout. We're all done, huh? Ready for power?
We're ready.
Thank you.
Anytime.
I appreciate it.
You know that.
All right, we are now fully set up. It took me a couple days because I had the photovoltaic sensor plugged in, even though I don't have any solar, so it was throwing a little error and I had to wait for customer support. But now it's all dialed and I want to go check and see if it actually does take over when the power's out. And as you can see, the storm has passed. We were fortunate that the power never went out, which I saw down the road. There was people that were out of power and in town. We just got lucky on this one that our overhead lines didn't get damaged or whatever it was. Somehow we just got lucky. I'm going down to the main power, which is our metered pedestal, our 400 amp service that comes off the power pole, so that I can shut the power off going into the sub panel on the garage. That way the CT little sensors, the current transistors, can sense that there's a power outage. So that should trigger the switch, theoretically, to go over and run off the Anker. So let's give this a try. All right, Haley, I'm gonna go ahead and shut the power off now. Let me know what it does.
Will do.
Did the power go out?
The power went out and went back on, and the water works.
Ooh, that is a good sign. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna leave it off for a little bit, see how long it runs off this thing, and see how much we can load it up with. Okay, it is not showing grid power, it's showing the power station. Let's see what the power station says. 3.3 hours at this power drop. All right, power is on. You said the water works.
Yeah.
That's the big one here. Yes. So I was hoping I'd be able to, ooh, I actually am able to see the app. I will screen record this, but at first I wasn't getting the app. And the reason being, I forgot that some of my Wi-Fi range boosters are on different circuits that are not backed up. But it looks like it's getting it. So right there, it's showing me that currently there is a 956 watt load
let's just start turning on some lights, because I think the lights in here are on the system. That added virtually nothing. Let's turn on some lights in our master bedroom, master bath. Now the other thing, we added our master closet in here as well, mainly because all of our like routers and everything are in here, and I wanted to make sure I still had internet. So that is all backed up. Now we're showing a 1.26 kilowatt load. Let's go ahead and turn on the water and see what that kicks it up to. Still kind of sitting at just 1.65 kilowatts, which is a surprise to me. So far, this is working great, and at that, load, it looks like it should be able to run the house on one of those for about 3.5 hours. So I want to show you what we did here inside our laundry room, which is where our sub panel for the house is. This is where all the circuits are for all the lights and everything. And the reason we didn't run everything out to the panel on the side of the garage is we didn't want to have to home run every single wire through conduit an extra 130 feet out there. Anyway, we've got 10 circuits in here right now. We still have some open space, and seeing what the power draw has been so far, I'm actually impressed that it's running that water pump so easily. It makes me think there is actually a possibility that we might be able to even put the heater and air conditioner on here, because we're running one of those Mitsubishi electric heat pump systems that are, supposed to be fairly power efficient. And if I look at the breaker we have on that one, outside air, it's a 40 amp breaker. So I would assume it's probably running at sub 30 amps just to keep it safe with the breaker. So that might be an option in the future. Okay, so here we have it, the finished setup. So basically we've got the Anker SOLIX home power panel that is tied into our main panel on the back side of this wall that is providing the grid power to this. And then the Anker connects to this big cable into there, and what that allows is for it to fully power couple, meaning that the Anker charges off the AC from there, but when it needs to pull power, the power panel will actually pull from the battery. On top of that, there are features for having like time of use. Basically, in the summer when power companies start going to where they have peak power use times or low power use times, and they change the price of the power by the kilowatt hour. Basically what it'll allow you to do is program it and tell it what times of the day are the cheapest energy. It'll use those times to charge the battery, and then on the high or peak use times, it'll draw from the battery, so you're not paying for the higher energy rates that time of day. And also it obviously has an automatic backup power switch. So when it senses that the grid power is out, it's gonna automatically flip over and start pulling power from the SOLIX F3800. It's also all app controlled, so you can see really cool graphically exactly what's going on. It helps you keep track of what kind of savings you're getting through this system. And it's all super user friendly, which I've been really impressed with. Now, like I mentioned, the F3800 has 3,840 watt hours of battery storage in it. They're using the highest end lithium batteries you can get that are good for, I think, over 3,000 cycles, which is over 10 years of regular daily use. And they also have like the industry's best 5-year warranty. But if the 3,840 watt hours isn't enough for you, they sell expansion batteries that'll allow you to basically turn this into up to a 26.9 kilowatt hour backup battery. But there's more. If you notice below here, there's another plug. So you're actually able to run 2 of these SOLIXes, and instead of having a 6,000 watt output, then you're up to 12,000 watt, which is a full 50 amp service on 240 volt. And obviously, in addition to doubling the current output, it also doubles the capacity. And with all the expansion batteries, you then could build out a system as big as, I think it's 53.8 kilowatts. So it's a pretty versatile and useful system. And one thing that I think is really cool about this is that it works as a really great home power backup / solar storage option, but you're not married to living it in your house. It's not permanently mounted here. There's still portable power stations that you can take with you if you're going out camping, or if you're working out in the field. Like I mentioned, you can weld off these things remotely. But the other cool thing, or a cool application that I was thinking of with these, is if you're someone that has either a cabin or some sort of camp that you use for hunting for part of the year, you could basically take the SOLIX F3800 with you out there, bring some portable solar panels and, you know, feed it with 2,400 watts of solar, that would be able to power your whole camp for the duration of the season that you're there. But then when you're ready to close it down for the season, bring it home and use it for your whole home battery backup for power outages. So overall, it's just a pretty cool setup. I'm really impressed with what Anker did with these things, and I'm excited to get the second one, which I have coming, installed so that I can get the full 12,000 watt output into the house. So these things pack a big punch, and I love that it's completely upgradable, and I think they're the most affordable option in this range, especially when you're looking at something that has a 12,000 watt output running 2 of these. This is for sure the easiest, most affordable, and most streamlined, versatile way to do something like this. To anyone that's interested in getting their own Solix home power setup, I'll place a link below in the description. Thank you again, Anker, for teaming up with me and partnering to help me get outfitted to be more resilient to the power outages that we get out here, and hopefully not dealing with the woes of not having water, along with everything else when the power goes out. So I am excited about this new setup. I hope you guys didn't mind a little break from the flying content to talk about some of this off-grid lifestyle stuff, which I'm really into. I just don't talk about it a lot on this channel. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. You guys know the drill. Like this video if you do, subscribe if you haven't, come be my wingman. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Don't try to get your dial tone. Slow fire on the line, gonna take you home.